Hey fam, welcome back to Rawdiemama Off Script. Today, we're diving into a real and tough conversation. Married couples who live Nigeria together, dreaming of a new life in America. But once they arrive, betrayal creeps in and marriages starts to break down. This is something so many people whisper about, but not enough folks talk about openly. This isn't just about gossip. It's something happening in our communities, and too many people are suffering in silence. So let's talk about it. When couples leave Nigeria to start afresh in the US, it's usually with big dreams, better opportunities, raising kids in a new environment, and building a sustainable future. But the reality of immigration is not always the fairy tale. Culture shock, new independence, financial struggles, and sometimes even outside influence begin to test the very foundation of that marriage. And too often, we see the wives stepping into new roles and spaces, and betrayals enters the picture. When a husband and wife make the decision to leave Nigeria and come to America, it's usually fueled by hope, the dream of better opportunities, raising children in a new environment, and building a strong financial future together. But reality in the US can hit hard. Immigration is not easy. There is culture shock, financial struggles, loneliness, and sometimes even outside influence begin to test the very foundation of that marriage. And too often, we see the wives stepping into new roles and spaces, and betrayals enters the picture. For many couples, those pressure either make them stronger or break them. And in too many cases, what begins as a journey of love and sacrifice ends in betrayal. Let me share a story, not to shame, but to shed light. A man I'll call Chinedu married his wife in Nigeria. They were deeply in love, and he worked tirelessly to process your papers, spending years saving money to bring her to America. When she finally arrived, life seemed full of promise. But after a year in the US, things started changing. Chinedu was working long hours, 2 jobs to keep up with bills and send money back home to support family. His wife, meanwhile, was exposed to a new culture of independence. She started going out more, meeting new people, and slowly pulling away. Chinedu noticed the distance, less communication, less affection. Then one day, he came home early from work and discovered she was seeing someone else. Within months, she filed for divorce. Imagine the heartbreak. A man who sacrificed everything, his time, his money, his energy, to build a future with his wife, only to be betrayed in a land far from home. He lost his marriage, his savings, and most of all, his trust. And sadly, Chinedu's story is not unique. Many men share similar experiences, feeling abandoned by the very person they trusted most once they reached America. Why does this happen? Let's be real. Back home, the structure of marriage can look very different. Coming to America sometimes flip those roles upside down. Some women begin to feel more empowered or influenced by the culture here. That's not a bad thing. But in some cases, it leads to secret lives, cheating, or abandoning their husbands. Husbands often take on multiple jobs, leaving, little time for intimacy, while wives feel they can look elsewhere for that. And for the men, it feels like betrayal. After sacrificing and hustling to bring their wives here, they find themselves alone, broken, and divorced. In many immigrant communities, these issues are not openly discussed, leaving men to suffer in silence. Now, I'm not saying this happens in every case, but it's happening enough to where it deserves a conversation. So, what can we learn from stories like Chinedu? First, immigration puts enormous stress on marriages. Couples need to prepare mentally and emotionally, not just financially. Second, Betrayal doesn't just happen overnight. It's usually small cracks, communication breakdown, unmet expectations, the cultural changes that widen over time. And finally, we need to stop normalizing betrayal as if it's just how things are in America. Marriage is built on trust, and trust should not end at the airport. This isn't just about pointing fingers at wives, though. Immigration itself is a huge stress test on any relationship. New culture, financial pressures, loneliness, and trying to find yourself in America. All of this can either make or break a marriage. So, here's my raw take. If you are married and planning to immigrate, you've got to sit down and have the hard conversation before you leave. Talk about expectations, temptations, and how you will support each other through the challenges. Because betrayal doesn't just destroy one person, it destroys families, children, and the very foundation of trust. Let's stop sweeping this under the rug. Let's be honest. Let's learn, and let's protect our marriages, even as we chase new beginnings. This is Rawdiemama Off Script, where nothing is off limits, and the real talk never stops. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Have you seen or experienced this? Let's have the conversation, because silence never saved anybody. And also, if you would like for me to air your story anonymously, you can send your story to me to the email on my YouTube channel, and I would love to read your story and give you a voice. If you would like anonymously, please state it in the email. Until next time, stay safe, stay real, and stay off script.